right now at 6 o'clock, an up-close look at how President Trump's mass deportation plans have split a local family between the East Bay and Mexico.
He's the one who provided everything for us.
I feel bad, I'm not with them.
We'll travel to Mexico City to meet a Livermore man who was deported decades after entering our country illegally.
I wouldn't like my family to live here.
And how the rest of his family is trying to hold together.
I'm gonna lose my home. I'm gonna end up in the street with my kids.
With their husband and father 1,800 miles away.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It is perhaps the defining immigration question of our time. What to do with the millions of people who entered the country illegally but have lived here for decades as Americans. So that story is playing out in communities across the country and right here in the Bay Area. Miguel Lopez worked at a Livermore winery for years until he was deported just a few months ago. So his journey through our country's immigration system begins in 1996. At 18 years old, he crossed the border illegally and he got caught. He lied to Border Patrol agents, falsely claiming to be a U.S. citizen, but he was sent back to Mexico. A few months later, he tried again, and this time made it to Livermore with his family. In 1998, Miguel was arrested for DUI and was ultimately convicted of a lesser charge. The following year, in 1999, he met his now wife, Rosa, a U.S. citizen. They got married in 2001, and they started a family. In 2007, Miguel applied for U.S. citizenship, arguing that he was married to a citizen and now had 2 children born in the U.S. who were also citizens. But in 2008, the Department of Homeland Security ordered Miguel to be deported. That long-ago decision to enter the country illegally and to lie to border agents had come back to haunt him and also start a long legal battle. In 2012, a judge sided with Miguel and blocked the deportation order. In 2016, DHS once again submitted an order for Miguel's removal, an order he's been fighting ever since. In May of this year, he was detained by ICE during a routine court appointment and then was deported a few weeks later in June. The question now, what happens? And what happens when someone is deported? When the plane touches down, when the shackles come off? And what happens to the family they leave behind? Our Katie Nielsen went to Mexico City in search of answers. But her story starts in Livermore with the rest of the Lopez family.
For Rosa Lopez, family is everything, which is why her Livermore home plays host to these kinds of family gatherings almost every Sunday night. Now, with a noticeably empty chair.
When we have people over,
he's always right, either with
my sisters or that one.
Rosa and Miguel have been married for 24 years. They have 3 children and 1 grandchild, all U.S. citizens, which is why she never thought they'd have a problem getting Miguel his papers when they first applied almost 20 years ago.
I didn't think it would be hard. My sister had filed for her husband at the time, too. Her whole process was pretty smooth.
While he was waiting for his citizenship, Miguel was able to get a work permit and worked as a welder at Wente Vineyards in Livermore to support his family, while Rosa stayed home with the kids. They bought a house, went on family vacations, went to their son's football games. They were living the American dream until a routine check-in at immigration court in May changed everything.
He's telling me he was getting detained. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, right? You're lying. No. And I was like, Miguel? And Miguel just didn't answer anymore.
Miguel had been detained by ICE.
He's the one who provided everything for us, and just a whole bunch of stuff started coming to my mind, like what's gonna happen with us if he's not here? You know, if I can't get a job right away, am I gonna lose my home? I'm gonna end up in the street with my kids. Just a lot of stuff. Like, is he gonna be okay? It was just hard.
Miguel's lawyer asked a judge to allow him to stay in the U.S. while they appealed. But just 4 hours before the judge signed the order saying he could stay, Miguel was deported.
Where are you at? He's like, I'm in Tijuana. And I'm like, what do you mean you're in Tijuana? It's not supposed to go like that. He's like, I don't know. He's like, they took me from McFarland to Bakersfield and now I'm in Tijuana.
So that begs the question, What happens once someone is deported from the United States, like what happened to Miguel Lopez? We traveled 2,000 miles to Mexico City to find out.
It's different from over there. You used to live better over there than here.
Miguel now lives in Chimalhuacan with his father, about an hour and a half outside Mexico City. And even though he grew up here, he says none of this feels like home.
But I want the best for my family, not this. I mean, it's pretty dangerous at nighttime, and even during the day, I mean, there's robberies all day long.
Miguel's brother was shot and killed 2 years ago during a carjacking just a few blocks from where Miguel is living now.
There's only one that you can see right now.
And recently, his father's house has been shot at multiple times in the middle of the night by what they say are roving gang members who demand money from residents in exchange for safety.
There's another one over here.
Miguel and his father say they refused to pay, so they were targeted.
I wouldn't like my family to live in here, especially my granddaughter. I wouldn't like her to grow up right here. I mean, it's different.
In the few months Miguel has been in Mexico, he says he's tried to find work, but the only jobs he can find as a welder pay $65 to $70 a week for a 60-hour work week.
And you don't make enough money. That's not enough, not even to support myself and support my family.
So Miguel spends most of his time inside his father's home, waiting for the few moments a day he can talk to Rosa and the kids.
Hi, Mama.
The only time we saw him smile.
Are you tired?
You ready for a nap?
Otherwise, when we asked about his family, the emotions were just too much.
I feel bad, you know, that I'm not with them, like providing what they need.
How are you?
Good.
Eric. Nice
Miguel.
to meet you. Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
U.S. Congressman Eric Swalwell, who represents the Livermore area, flew down to Mexico City to meet with Miguel.
The way he's been treated is just awful, and it's not the way that you treat somebody who wants to contribute to our country.
Removing the invaders is not just a campaign pledge, it's my solemn duty as Commander-in-Chief. I have an obligation to do it.
Miguel was here illegally, to begin with. Why are you fighting for his right to stay?
Miguel represents the best of America. He came here chasing an American dream, and he didn't take anything from us. He gave to his community. And now he's been ripped apart from his family, sent to a place he doesn't know. And what I want people to know is that there's thousands of Miguels right now out there who are living this, nightmare.
President Trump promised to deport 1 million people a year, targeting violent criminals first. But as ICE agents conducted raids all over the country, they soon began detaining people who'd only committed non-violent offenses, and those with jobs, families, and deep roots.
We've been working on getting dangerous, criminal, illegal aliens out of our country. Murderers, rapists, drug traffickers, human traffickers, going out, arresting them, and removing them from our communities so that our families can be safe again at night.
We also reached out to Homeland Security to get a statement regarding Miguel's case. They told us he is, quote, a criminal illegal alien from Mexico, has had a final order of removal from an immigration judge since 1996. Lopez's criminal history includes a conviction for driving under the influence. Lopez exhausted all due process and legal options to remain in the U.S. After nearly 29 years of appeals and delays, ICE deported Lopez on June 6, 2025.
And nobody signed up for this. Americans wanted the worst offenders in our community to be deported. They didn't want the best contributors like Miguel to be separated from their families.
But in his case, that's exactly what happened, teaching Rosa a hard lesson, that the only emotion more powerful than love is loss.
Just everything's very different. How empty our home feels without him. And this man works so hard, and I'm like, this is so unfair. He's like, I feel like I'm failing you guys. I'm like, you're not. You're not. It's not you. I know you've done everything for us, and at the moment you can't. Now it's my turn to do everything for you.
What are you going to do if he really isn't going to be allowed back?
I don't think about that. I think he's going to come home.
Wow. Katie Nilsson joining us in studio now. Your story really takes us through the beginning, middle, and to now that so many are experiencing. It's powerful and it is real life. And I'm curious, has he been able to see his family at all? He's been gone since June, right?
That's right. So that's when he was deported. Now, his wife, Rosa, because she is a citizen, is actually able to travel down to Mexico to go see Miguel. But the problem is he was the breadwinner in their family. So in terms of the finances, very limited right now for her to be able to continue to fly back and forth. She said it costs her about $600 every time she goes down for the just for the plane ticket.
It's a price tag. So then what are the options on the table for Miguel and his family?
So we've talked about the court process that he had already been going through, but another option to become a citizen is literally an act of Congress. And so that is exactly what Representative Eric Swalwell did last week, introduced the Miguel Lopez Naturalization Act, which would mean, if passed, he would become a citizen. The problem is, right now you have Republicans controlling the House and Senate. There's no way that a naturalization act for Miguel is going to be passed. We actually reached out to all 6 Republican members of Congress from California to ask them specifically about this bill, but not a single one wanted to comment.
We'll continue to follow this, certainly, and there's more to come, especially in October.
That's right. So Miguel's family is not giving up the fight on this either. They're going back to the courtroom. He has another hearing October 7th.
All right, we'll continue to cover it. Kenny Nielsen, thank you. Great work. All right, we have more ahead here. Right at 6 o'clock, 3 people killed at a San Jose apartment complex. We're going to hear from neighbors who heard the whole thing.
I felt scared, you know, for me and my family and our neighbors around us.
Plus, we'll check in with people trying their best to beat the heat in the East Bay today.
Temperatures were well above average across the Bay Area, about 6 to 9 degrees above normal for those inland parts of the Bay Area. One more day of hot temperatures in store for us, and then our focus shifts to a chance of thunderstorms headed up from the south. The remnants of Tropical Storm Mario sending that moisture towards us. Tracking that coming up in the First Alert forecast.
So the heat wave that blanketed much of the Bay Area today is sticking around for one more day. Even though it was nearly 100 degrees in Concord, people still showed up for the farmers market. So we caught up with one family from Oakland who drove over to San Ramon, where even though the temp was even hotter, they could still, cool off and, hey, they could splash a little bit.
Traveling somewhere where they're safe and your child can actually have fun and enjoy themselves.
Sounds good to me. Let's take a live look outside right now. Later this week, we're going to have a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Yes, I sound surprised, but Paul Hagan's not surprised. He's been forecasting this, so fill us in. What's going on?
Yeah, a little bit odd that we go from heat to thunderstorms, but it's because this tropical moisture headed up our way and just giving us that chance for rain that's gone up a bit over the past 24 hours.
All right.
Let's get into the details of how this is going to all play out. What you need to know as we head through the rest of this week, well, we've got one more day of hot weather in store for us tomorrow, especially away from the water, but record temperatures not likely. And then while we see the rain potentially moving in Thursday and Friday, still a lot of questions about the exact path of that moisture and whether the trigger for any showers and thunderstorms will line up exactly with the arrival of that moisture. So things could still go either way. And then we're back to warm, dry conditions, just kind of normal weather for the last weekend of summer before fall officially arrives on Monday. Looking outside from Sutro Tower, the fog's starting to sneak into downtown San Francisco, where the temperature is only 64 degrees. Temperature in the city did not reach quite the levels that we expected. We had a forecast high of 79, only got up to 71 degrees in San Francisco because the onshore breeze kicked in just about 90 minutes earlier than we thought. Inland temperatures, though, still 91 degrees in Concord and in Livermore. It's in the 70s in San Jose now. You dropped off pretty quickly after a high near 90 and then down to the mid 80s right now in Santa Rosa. As we head through the rest of tonight, that fog is going to do its best to spread out, but again, it's a limited push across the bay because of the shallow nature of that marine layer. The weight of the atmosphere is just really squashing it down to ground level, and that limits how much it can overcome the terrain obstacles around the bay. Once the sun comes up, that fog is quickly going to retreat to the coast, should pull away from the coast for a little while in the afternoon. Temperatures are going to be, again, hot away from the water. Temperatures in the Santa Clara Valley reaching up to around 90 degrees in San Jose, into the low to mid 90s for Los Gatos and Morgan Hill, mid to upper 90s east of the Oakland Hills, threatening 100 degrees in Fairfield, but falling just a little bit short. Temperatures around the bay mostly in the 80s, but up to 90 degrees in Redwood City, just short of 80 in San Francisco. A little warmer than today. I think the onshore breeze will wait a bit longer to kick in. And then temperatures in the North Bay, mostly topping out in the 90s. But a big drop in temperatures is in store for us on Thursday. Let's take a look at the dog walking forecast for tomorrow because we have an adoptable dog bringing that to you. This is Jack, whose eyes are just pleading for a walk, but it's just going to be too hot out there in the afternoon for much recreating outdoors. But get out for a walk with your pups early in the day. I'll put a link up for Jack's adoptable information right after this weathercast. Let's take a look at the arrival of the rain. A couple different forecast models to show you that are starting to trend in the same direction, showing a pretty good chance of rain making its way up from the south. Not tomorrow and not yet tomorrow night, but as we head through the day on Thursday, that's a pretty good chance of showers and even a few thunderstorms headed our way. And there's a different forecast model that runs in a similar time frame that paints a very similar picture, with rain likely to move up from the south on Thursday. All the forecast models were putting this way off to the east into the Sierra just 24 hours ago. So things have shifted that much in the last 24 hours. That means there's still potential that they could shift that much in the next 24 hours. We'll keep you updated as we get a little bit closer to the arrival of that moisture. But the fact that those two forecast models are agreeing with each other gives us a higher degree of confidence that maybe we're going to get some rain Thursday and Friday, and any cloud-to-ground lightning threat into the dry fire fuels would be attenuated by the fact that those thunderstorms would likely be producing a decent amount of rainfall. And there's another chance of showers by Tuesday of next week. So we've got a couple of different waves of moisture headed our way. And in between, the weekend does look warm. One more 7-day forecast to show you Bayside. You go from the 80s back to the 70s and then back up to around or above 80 degrees by Sunday and Monday before the next chance of showers on Tuesday. Jules?
All right, Paul, thank you. You can track the weather in your neighborhood from the heat to the potential showers later this week. Just download the free CBS News app. All right, turning now to South San Jose, where detectives are working around the clock to find a killer. Police say 3 people were fatally shot early this morning. Happened around 12:30 in the morning at an apartment complex on Chenoweth Avenue that's near Snell Avenue in the Oak Grove neighborhood. Police say they received multiple calls of gunshots and a woman screaming for help. When officers got there, they found a woman outside with at least 1 gunshot wound. Police say 2 more people were found inside the home with at least 1 gunshot wound. Some neighbors telling us they heard gunshots and were shaken up.
I heard 4 to 5 gunshots. I felt scared, you know, for me and my family and our neighbors around us.
We heard, I want to say multiple gunshots, but it was more like a brah, bah, like that kind of sound. And it was really scary. You could feel it. I've been here for 5 years, so it's pretty safe. This is a safe area. So it's hard processing that.
San Jose police say it's still unknown if the victims are related or if they even knew the suspect. There's no word on a motive. Police say this is an isolated incident. In San Francisco, the man accused of stabbing a father to death in front of his son stood in front of a judge this afternoon. 42-year-old Daniel Patrick Rodriguez will face charges for murder and also child endangerment. Happened as Robert Byrd had just picked up his son from Commodore Sloat Elementary School Wednesday afternoon. Prosecutors say he got into some sort of argument with a driver in a crosswalk and was stabbed. We heard from Gloria Berry, a family member of the victim. She described what she and her family have been through since this attack.
How's the family doing right now?
Terrible. We're doing terrible. I never thought I would be here. Of course, everybody feels that way.
Barry also says her grandson has not returned to school out of fear that seeing the crosswalk where his dad died might re-traumatize him. The arraignment for the suspect is scheduled for Friday. All right, now to Alameda County, where our chopper captured footage of a car just dangling off the roof of a parking structure. This happening in Berkeley. The car broke through barriers on the side of Regent Medical Center, scattering debris on the street below. A tow truck was on the scene working to pull the car back onto the concrete. And then this video from Citizen App, look at that. It shows the front wheels just hanging over the side of the building. No word yet exactly what caused this crash. Also in Berkeley, a driver is in custody after being accused of crashing their car into 3 people in different locations. Now, police say they drove onto a sidewalk and then later tried to carjack another person. The crime scene spanned several blocks. 2 people were hit by a car on Belrose Avenue just before 8 this morning. Another victim was found on Derby Street. And then this is the car police say hit the 3 victims. Police also say the driver ditched the gray BMW sedan next to Emerson Elementary School, then tried to carjack another vehicle, then ran away. So you can see the windshield smashed. There's also scratches along the sides. That suspect was found and arrested 2 blocks away on College Avenue. Police say all of the people who were hit were adults. They were taken to the hospital, and there's no word on their conditions. Coming up, some teens try and fail to get away with robbing a store at a high-end mall in the East Bay. We have that story coming up. In Walnut Creek, police said they detained 4 juveniles in connection to a series of grab-and-run robberies. Our chopper captured these images this afternoon outside the Nordstrom at Broadway Plaza. Look at this. Authorities say they recovered thousands of dollars worth of merchandise stolen from several stores, including Lululemon. So the drug crisis in San Francisco doesn't show any major signs of slowing down. Here's the latest numbers. The city's health department says 48 people died of accidental overdoses in August, and that's compared to 47 people who died in August last year. Officials say there have been a total of 460 overdose deaths this year. That's slightly down from 466 this time last year. Public health officials say they are expanding their hours and services to try to bring those numbers down.
Anyone in San Francisco who has an opioid use disorder could call public health between 8 a.m. and midnight to talk to an addiction medicine specialist. The program is now available 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. 7 days per week.
The Department of Public Health recently expanded their street teams into the Bayview, and they plan another expansion into the Mission. So the San Francisco Board of Supervisors today passed the Street Safety Act. So the goal is to get people to slow down and keep pedestrians safe. Under the new resolution, the police department will add traffic-specific patrols and also increase the use of the speed cameras. Public Works will build more speed bumps and islands and bike lanes, and the Parks Department will work on safe loading zones. Walk San Francisco released a statement on the resolution saying San Francisco has been making progress in making streets safer, but it needs to scale up and systemize its approach. The Street Safety Act takes Vision Zero into the next decade, bringing the most effective solutions citywide. All right, when we come back, the flight of the Valkyries takes them to the South Bay, where they'll be fighting to stay alive in the playoffs. Plus, here's a look at what's ahead on the CBS Evening News.
The graduation blues, why so many recent college grads are struggling to find jobs.
That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
All right, this is getting exciting. The city of San Jose is showing its support for the Golden State Valkyries on the eve of the team's home playoff debut at SAP Center. Local leaders and fans celebrated as the city raised a flag for the team at City Hall. We heard from the Valkyries' hype woman, who says she expects San Jose to bring the same passionate energy as Valhalla at Chase Center to tomorrow's game.
We've won so many games in Chase Center, but we're making history by bringing the playoffs right here to San Jose because we know how to do it in the Bay. We know how to get down.
Yes, we do. Tomorrow's game is do or die for the Valkyries. They're facing elimination against the top seed Minnesota Lynx tomorrow night. All right, we've been your home for Valkyries coverage all season, and that continues in the playoffs. We're going to have live pre- and post-game coverage of tomorrow's game starting at 6:30 on our sister station, Pix Plus. So the whole reason the Valkyries are playing in San Jose and not at Chase Center is because the arena is already booked for the Laver Cup tennis tournament. So this is video of the top men's players in the world. Spain's Carlos Alcaraz arriving in San Francisco just yesterday. Alcaraz just won the U.S. Open earlier this month. He will lead Team Europe against Team World, which includes the top American player Taylor Fritz. That tournament runs Friday through Sunday. That is not the only event coming to Chase Center. Grammy Award-winning artist Cardi B announced her Little Miss Drama tour will make a stop at Chase Center next February. This is the rap superstar's first tour in 6 years, and it follows the release of her second studio album, Am I the Drama?, which is out this Friday. General ticket sales start next Thursday. No, she's not drama. All right, CBS EV News is next. Local news on our streaming service. We have more news just for you at 7 o'clock, KPX 5 in 30 minutes. See you then.